Right now, there's two identical houses sitting in San Antonio. They're in the same neighborhood, roughly the same size, roughly the same price point, but one sells almost immediately, gets a couple different offers. The other one sits for 3 months, no showings, price cuts, still nothing. I'm telling you guys, something unusual is happening in the San Antonio housing market. And today I'm breaking down exactly what that is and how buyers and sellers can take advantage. So think about it from your perspective. You're trying to sell your house. Your neighbor's also trying to sell their house. And we have that exact same situation that I just mentioned. Let's call it lane A and lane B. Lane A is what I'm going to call effortless homes. These are the homes that have been well maintained. They have been updated periodically throughout their entire life. And the sellers know how to price their home appropriately. They're modern, good finishes, the marketing was done correctly, and they got good pictures to where whenever you see that home online, you think, man, this is a really nice house. I really want to see that one in person. These homes are selling a lot faster. We're talking like a month or two on average. I've even seen some of these getting multiple offers and maybe even selling slightly above asking price if they were priced aggressively. Now, lane B is what I'm going to call friction homes, okay? So these are the homes that are dated. They have carpet that was there when the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl last. They need lots of work. Maybe they got popcorn ceiling. Maybe they've got Formica countertops. I mean, there's all these little things that a buyer is going to see, and they're going to immediately think, yeah, I don't want to deal with that right now. These homes are sitting on the market for 3 months plus on average, have to get tons of price cuts because they're priced way above what a home like this would typically go for. And quite frankly, they're selling for a lot less than what they could have been selling for if just a few things were done differently. The real problem is that this just started happening. So we're talking just 3-4 years ago, and this is something that a lot of people don't know how to deal with. Buyers right now are in the driver's seat, okay? You as a seller do not have the luxury of being able to price the house for whatever you want. You need to price it accordingly and maybe even price it slightly better than what you think you should be pricing it at just to make sure it gets sold. And the data backs this up. We've seen this split happening over the last few years, and that brings us to the real question. What has caused this change? Now, real quick note before we dive deeper, my name is Michael McCall. I run the Life and SATX home group here in San Antonio, and if you want to get some help buying or selling, feel free to go to lifeandsatx.com/YouTube or check out any of the details down in the description below. You can schedule a call with me. You can, send a message, give us a call if you're looking at moving here in 2 days or 2 years, or if you're looking to sell tomorrow or the next day or next year. Let us know, and we'll gladly get on a call and discuss those options with you guys. So I know there's probably a lot of you guys that think that this split was caused primarily because of that interest rate increase. Well, that may be a partial issue that has come up, but that is definitely not the reason why I'm seeing what we're seeing. Mortgage rates just dropped to a 3-year low as of a week or two before the posting of this video. You would think that would completely increase and just bring everybody out of the woodwork and off the sidelines. Well, it hasn't happened. Now, what's causing this split in the market and why we're seeing a market that we've never seen before is a fundamental reset in a way that the buyers are seeing real estate. Today's buyer is very different than the buyer from 5 or even 10 years ago, okay? They're much more payment sensitive nowadays because affordability has been so stretched. Lifestyles have also changed. They don't have the patience to deal with renovations, or do they have especially in San Antonio, do they have the desire to get a home that needs a lot of work that's going to take 6 to 12 months to upgrade it, especially if they're trying to save after they just purchased the home. They see all these new construction homes. They see everything on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube showing all of these really nice finishes in these new houses, and the expectations of, hey, we're just going to get a house because it's in the right area more than anything else. They don't care what it looks like. That was 10, 15, 20 years ago. Now it's more so, hey, we've got lots of options in the area that we want to be in. Let's focus on finding a house where we have to do as little as possible and it is ready for us to move in and be happy right away. The big thing is that you've got Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com, and everybody's going through. They're seeing the 3D tours. They're seeing the really nice high quality video tours that a lot of these real estate agents are putting out, like myself. And and they're able to visualize exactly what they want. They're getting these checklists together before they're even considering making a move. They're looking 3 to 6 months out. They know that they would rather make sure they're making the right decision instead of making a quick decision, and that has led to longer times on market. Here's some of the data that talks about why people aren't really going to these fixer-upper homes anymore. So you look at a 2025 study, and it looked at a bunch of these different fixer-upper homes, and it found that on a yearly basis, not just a one-time cost, a yearly basis, that people that owned what you would classify as a fixer-upper home spend $6,000 annually just on maintaining and updating that house to the minimum standards. And that's 62% are spending that much money. There's 15% are spending over $16,000 per year. So you got to think about it. Buyers are looking at these types of homes and they're saying, okay, I would rather get this move-in ready home that's been pretty well updated. I'm only going to spend, this much if I really, really want to add some upgrades, not just updates. And that's just an optional thing for me. I can just make it better instead of making it the bare minimum. Another recent study shows that 62% of recent buyers are choosing those move-in ready homes versus homes that need even just a little bit of work. So you look at these buyers, and the majority of the buyers out there, and they're choosing an effortless experience of buying a house that is ready to go versus buying a house that they can make their own over time. People just choose not to do that anymore as much. So you can look at a lot of different real estate websites, different agents saying different things, different research sites showing different numbers, but there's a big it's a dichotomy really, essentially. So you look at the median sales price and you're looking at about $265,000, right, which is slightly down from last year. And then you look at the average price, which is about $375,000. So that's a very big difference in two numbers that a lot of people typically try to use. So overall, if you look at it, our median price point has gone down a decent amount, whereas our average price point has actually stayed stable or gone up a little bit more in recent years compared to that median price point. And this is because of that, initial kind of two-lane situation that we talked about in the beginning. Those lower priced homes that need a lot of work, that are listed a lot lower, those are continuing to have price drops until they finally sell. That's bringing that median price point down. So the median is obviously the price right there in the center. So you have half of the market is selling below that price and half is selling above that price. And again, this is also shown in the days on market. So overall, days on market is about 90 days, like 86 days as of right now. But again, those homes that need more work, they're at 90, 100, 120 plus days on market. I mean, it's not that hard to go out and find a house that's been sitting on the market for 250 to 365 days versus looking at these homes that are updated, that are priced where they should be for their market, that in their specific neighborhood they're selling in a month or two, or maybe even less in some cases. Inventory is actually up 14% year over year as well, making it about 5.2 months of inventory, which typically is classified as more of a balanced market. But in this market, the way that things are operating, I would consider this more of a buyer's market, because the inventory that is on that market is the stuff that maybe has something wrong with it. The stuff that is the really good quality homes that are in great locations, priced really well, updated, turnkey, move-in ready homes, those are still the ones that are selling within the first few weeks. This is literally the case of two completely different markets split right down the middle. And you need to think about these next few things if you are buying or if you are selling. I've had lots of sellers call me and kind of ask about, like, okay, here's what has been going on with my house that I've been trying to sell. What can we do differently? Here's what's been happening in my neighborhood. What can we do to make sure that doesn't happen in my house? I just met with somebody yesterday that actually was looking at, selling their house, and they've got a couple neighbors that their house has been sitting almost 2 years on the market. And whenever I go look at those, they look really nice at first glance, but when you dive into it, they're $200,000, $300,000 overpriced. You can't really tell some of the better features of the house from the listing or from the pictures themselves. And just overall, it's just white noise at this point with some of those houses. And we're not just talking about inventory that has gotten to a level that is matching that pre-pandemic number. We're actually about 50% higher than that pre-pandemic inventory level, which is quite drastic. But again, it's because you have a different buyer nowadays. You get a lot of questions about sellers wanting to list it slightly high just to compensate for, potential people that are coming in and asking for concessions to buy down their interest rate. And I understand why they're thinking that. But what you end up putting yourself into a situation of is that Okay, now nobody wants to look at the house. Even just a $10, $15, $20,000 difference can make a big shift in the amount of people that are coming to look at it. Buyers will also look at those price cuts too. Say you list it high, just kind of with the expectation that you're gonna drop the price. Those buyers see those price cuts and they just think, okay, well, nobody wants to look at this house. They're cutting the price. That means nobody's going to see it. Maybe I don't want to go see it either. They're going to focus on the ones that, they think are the best options. And those might be the newest listings in most cases, because again, the house has been sitting a long time. There's that perception that something is wrong with it. And especially whenever it comes to new construction, those new construction home builders, guys, they are paying tons of money on those incentives and for marketing. The clients that are going to those neighborhoods to look at the new construction, they're not even thinking about your home that's for sale, even if it's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 below the asking price of some of those new construction homes. The rule is pretty simple right now, and it's the case with all real estate, okay? Buyers are trying to get into houses that they don't have to do anything with. If your house is not better than your competition, you need to price it better than your competition. That's the only way to get somebody into your house over that one. If they're looking at that one, $450,000, they see yours, you're like, it's not as good, but it's still a $450,000 house. They're not even gonna look at it. They're gonna go to the other one. If yours is now $420,000, $430,000, now that starts to entice them and say, all right, let's maybe go take a look at this one. We could probably get a better deal even as is with this house versus this other one that's a little bit higher price. There's a very simple checklist when it comes to selling your house, guys, and this is what it is. And I don't think this is much different in most markets these days, especially down here in the South where there's a lot of new construction inventory. The more inventory you have, the more this applies. The first step is that you have to get the condition right. If it is an older house that needs a ton of updates, unless you're listing it for an investor to come in and buy at a steal of a deal, it's going to take a while to sell. If you're trying to find somebody that is going to come buy your $350,000, $400,000 house that needs a lot of work, it's got lots of wood rot on the outside, the trim needs work, it's got floors that carpets that's got pet stains and rips and everything from your cats or dogs scratching at the door, it's got wood flooring that's all scratched up, or vinyl flooring or laminate flooring that's got water spots on it. Like any of these little things like that is going to make your house, no matter how good of a price you get it, unless you price it $100,000 below market value, which at that point you might as well spend $20,000, $30,000 to upgrade the house, and then you'll sell it a lot quicker at a much higher price. But the condition has to be right on these houses. And that leads to the second point, which is price it realistically from day one. I am an agent that does not believe in pricing it high to compensate for price drops. I think that's a terrible strategy, and it puts you behind in the race from the very beginning. If you price it right and don't expect to drop the price constantly, you will get more buyers from the beginning. Now, there are times where the market's going to shift. You may get other people in your neighborhood that are selling houses for a lot less, and your market may adjust, and you may have to price it a little bit lower and reduce those prices. But at the same time, you don't want to price it $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 high with the expectation that you're going to drop it, because you're just going to put yourself in a hole from the very beginning. Third point is you cannot skimp at all on the marketing for these houses. You have to get the highest quality professional photos. You have to get the videos done. You have to do a good job pushing this out there to as many people as possible. And this goes for whether you're using an agent or not. I know there's a lot of people that still try to sell their houses for sale by owner, and some have success with it. But you have to do all the marketing things to make sure that your house is as appealing as possible on the internet, because that's where people are starting their searches nowadays. And the fourth thing is that you need to be ready to move fast. Okay, if you get an offer that first week, there's a decent chance that might be the best offer that you get. Now, and there are rare situations if somebody's coming in and try to lowball you from the very beginning. Talk to your agent about that, see if it's worth countering, and see if it's worth trying to work with that buyer. But in most cases, if you've got somebody that's coming in, even if they're asking maybe $10,000, $15,000 below asking price, if you haven't gotten a lot of showings, if that's been your only showing, you may want to consider taking that, because sitting on the market for 6 to 12 months after that, if that is the only buyer that you're going to get for a while, it's going to cost you a lot more than that $10,000 to $15,000 potentially. The sellers that are winning in this market are the ones that are taking advantage of doing the process right. Now, buyers, on the other hand, are in a completely different situation than the sellers, and they are in the driver's seats in a lot of ways this time around. If you were the buyer that is looking at a fixer-upper, you have all the leverage in the world. You can go into these houses that have been sitting for a year or two, and you can pretty much name your price. And if they aren't willing to accept it, or if they're not being reasonable or coming down to a price that you're willing to pay, you can go on to the next one. You have a lot of options with the number of homes that are on the market right now. Now, if you're looking for one of these turnkey homes, what we call the effortless homes, and wanting to find something that is move-in ready, perfectly priced, has a pool, whatever it may be, and is just a gem in a neighborhood that maybe doesn't have a lot of gems, especially, you're going to need to get ready to put your boxing gloves on and get ready to go fight for that house. You need to be ready to strike while the iron is hot, and that means when that house is listed, hopefully you've got all your stuff lined up. You've got your pre-approval letter. You know exactly which neighborhoods you're looking at so that you can focus on those. Your agent's ready to go, and you've got the ability to buy that house at the price that they're asking for. If you get one of these houses that is completely top-notch, that has done all the things that we've talked about in this video, is going to be a house that sells relatively quickly. Now, again, you don't have to rush. So that's the other benefit of being a buyer. You can wait. If you want to wait and keep paying rent, or, just wait for the exact perfect right house at the perfect right price, you have the ability to do that. And those homes that are in that kind of category of that upper level effortless home on the market, they're not going to be willing to give you a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 price reduction on day 1 or day 7 or day 14. They're going to be willing to sit there and make sure that one of these 8 to 10 showings that they've had already over the first 2 weeks is going to fall through before they're willing to start looking at price reductions or a lower priced offer. We look at a lot of different factors when it comes to buying in this market, especially if we're looking at these older homes that need some work. Even the existing homes, they may look really good. There may be some underlying issues that you want to make sure are not a problem that aren't really visible on the pictures or when you're just walking through the house. That includes roof, AC, foundation, all the big systems of the house, making sure that they were taken care of, as well as the visual pretty parts of the house were. But we also have to know that we can't be unrealistic, and offering $100,000 low on a $350,000 house that is already priced decently well, even if it's been on the market for a year, that's not going to fly. People just don't agree to that. So you have to kind of understand the expectations on the seller side, and know that not everybody is desperate, and there may be a needle in a haystack that is really desperate, and you can make a super low offer and get a super crazy good deal. But understand that you may make those offers and you may strike out, and be okay with that. That's okay. As a buyer, you have the leverage right now, and you have time to wait. And if you don't, take that into consideration when you're making your offers. The flexibility is what wins the deals in this environment, and be able to look at every single house in its individual situation. That's how you make the deal and get the best deal for you as a buyer. So to win in this market, you need to understand which reality that you are in, and the difference between what it takes to sell a house in 2 to 3 weeks or sit on the market for 6 to 12 months. It is a drastic difference right now. So again, if you are ready to make a move in the San Antonio market, buying or selling, reach out to me and my team at the information in the description below. Again, you can go to lifeinsatx/YouTube as well. But whether you're looking at moving in 2 days or 2 years, guys, we would love to have that conversation with you to kind of get this process started, and help you plan as much as you possibly can to make sure you're in the right side of the split market. Now, if you want to know some more details about San Antonio and why I think it is the complete opposite of just about every U.S. city, take a look at this video right here. Really unique take on some things, and really enjoyed making that video. So until the next one, guys, we'll see you there.